COVID-19 cases in India are skyrocketing. We hear from people there about how the virus is overwhelming their country.
A former USC songgirl shares her own experience on the team after a report that the storied dance squad has a toxic environment.
But first, if you're fully vaccinated, your daily walks down Truesdale, dodging bicycles and waving to friends is near. Find out what USC's announcement means for returning to campus in the fall.
Live from USC, you're watching Annenberg TV News.
USC has made it official. All students, faculty, and staff must be fully vaccinated for on-campus activities in the fall. Good evening, I'm Cambry Guest.
And I'm Noah Camrus, and we're reporting from outside Wallace Annenberg Hall. The university outlined the specifics of the vaccine requirement in a memo sent today.
This requirement is one of the important changes USC is making to ensure a safe and successful return to campus next semester. Those with religious or medical reasons for not getting vaccinated may request an exemption. On May 3rd, fully vaccinated students, staff, and faculty will no longer need pop testing to access campus. Everyone is required to upload proof of vaccination or personal declination by June 1st. Testing will still be required for people who are not fully vaccinated and for people who decline the vaccine. Faculty, staff, and graduate students will need to get tested once a week. Undergraduate students will need to get tested 2 times a week.
All of this is dependent on what we think about as very high levels of vaccination, meaning we need 90+% of people or more, hopefully 100. We know there's probably a handful of people who have medical reasons they can't be vaccinated, but we need just about everybody vaccinated in order to get back to normal. There may be need for some specific additional mitigation, such as continued wearing of masks, other items we don't know yet, but we're pushing hard to as normal as fall as possible.
Fully vaccinated USC students will now be able to walk on campus without a mask. That's because of new CDC guidelines announced today. Those who are fully vaccinated do not have to wear a mask when they are walking, hiking, biking, running alone, or gathering in small groups. The new guidelines also apply to small outdoor gatherings with vaccinated and unvaccinated people. A bike shop owner and running coach share their thoughts on the loosened mask restrictions.
Still, I think a bit too soon. So I think we might, because we've been wanting to launch our rides again, they grow to like 30 to 60 people or more sometimes. Just to keep everyone more comfortable, it wouldn't hurt to have them have masks on.
Well, the first gut reaction was finally, hallelujah. But we've now reached out to LA County Department of Public Health for guidance on a more direct level. We're not just protecting our members and each other. We're protecting our members' families and their extended families. And that's something we're taking very seriously. So am I excited? Yes. Are we planning for soon to be meeting in groups? Yes.
Governor Gavin Newsom says California will ease restrictions to align with the CDC's new guidelines. Here in LA County, infection rates have fallen to meet the threshold for the yellow tier, although they'll need to stay at the same level for a week before the county can officially enter the tier and loosen capacity restrictions.
India is experiencing a surge in coronavirus infections and deaths the country may not be equipped to handle. Crematoriums in New Delhi are overwhelmed, and the country's capital has built makeshift pyres. India is reporting more than 17.6 million cases since the pandemic began last year. Experts fear this number will become 30 times higher, which would be more than 500 million cases.
If you look at our hospital, last month we had 1 COVID patient on the average per day, and now it's only 4 weeks later, our beds are full. Several states have their elections going, and during the election rallies, it was a bit like the Trump rallies in USA. Nobody bothered. So there was no masking, no social distancing. Our problem is the density of people in every city. It's just far too much. For a country that has a population that we have, you cannot prepare for this.
I got away easy. I'm very lucky. God is very kind. Doctors are good, but everybody has not been that lucky. Currently, there's there's a complete system failure in Delhi. Hospitals, testing labs, and it's not that your doctors and nurses are not working. It's just the sheer volume of people who are falling sick. Mid-March of 2021 was indication that numbers were already on the rise. And if it was on the rise, then why did you only start panicking and reacting from mid-April? You had a month to get your house in order.
The first year of pandemic, I had 42 students. But this year, it has come down to 16. Most of them were very ill for a certain period of time. They had all the symptoms of COVID, but not all of them got tested. When they were ill, none of them I allowed them to attend the online class. No.
For Indian students far from home, the situation in India is particularly worrying. A USC senior from Mumbai says he feels helpless and doesn't know when he can travel home.
It's been exceptionally frustrating because of the inability to do anything for anyone back home. I mean, I would have loved to go home maybe for a week, but that's not going to be possible. My family wanted to come and visit me, but they're trying to get tickets for the summer, but there's nothing available. It's kind of been like a very sort of rough few weeks just knowing that, I can't do anything from here.
The White House announced it will send assistance and vaccine supplies to India as the country struggles to control its rising case count.
Those trying to remove Governor Gavin Newsom from office have gathered enough valid signatures to trigger a recall vote. I'm Emily Bonilla reporting from Altadena. The question is, will he be voted out of office? And if he is, who might replace him? More than 1.6 million signatures have been validated, comfortably exceeding the required total of close to 1.5 million signatures, according to the Secretary of State. In a recent survey by the Public Policy Institute of California, only 40% said they would vote to remove Newsom in a recall, while 56% said they would vote no. 53% of likely voters said they approved of how Newsom is handling his job, while 5% said they are unsure how they would vote.
Even though the original impetus behind it was not COVID, this has become the coronavirus recall, no question about it. Newsom and his advisors have done a very, very formidable job of discouraging any other Democrat from running. But it's a real risk. The only options available for a very, very heavily Democratic state like California would be either a number of Republicans who supported Donald Trump in last year's elections, or a lot of celebrities who really don't have a lot of experience in politics and government. Then that has immense political and policy ramifications, not just for the state, but for the nation.
Before certifying the recall, those who signed the petition have 30 business days to withdraw their signatures. Only then can Secretary of State Shirley Weber issue official certification on a recall election within 60 to 80 days. The election would most likely happen in the fall.
California is losing a seat in the House of Representatives for the first time in state history. The delegation in Congress will drop from 53 to 52 members. That's based on population data released today by the 2020 census. This count determines more than just congressional seats. It also informs federal funding for things like education, public housing programs, transportation, public health, and much more.
2020 was the slowest rate of population growth reported in the history of the state, increasing by just over 2 million between 2010 and 2020. Experts agree that the lost seat will have a dramatic impact on the state districts and national politics.
California is one of the most diverse states, and LA County is one of the most diverse counties in the country. And to lose another platform, another representative voice, just kind of shows that that things like the census have consequences if you don't participate. We knew that there could be an undercount in a lot of our communities, especially those that represent Asian American and Pacific Islander groups. So we tried to anticipate whether that was, fear of the citizenship question, or other factors like being too busy or not having access to the census count.
People might recall that your congressional districts is essentially the way that you get your electoral college votes. So the state loses one of its electoral college votes, and nationally, the math works out that Republicans in some will gain 6 electoral college votes based on the voting patterns of the states in the 2020 general election. We did get in California a pretty good count, meaning that we were within range of the estimates.
According to Politico, trends suggest that the lost seat will likely come from Southern California, more specifically, LA County.
With increasing concerns about race-related hate and violence, USC Annenberg is holding a panel discussion tomorrow at 5 p.m. on Asian and Black solidarity. The two groups share similar fears. 26% of Asian adults and 20% of Black adults fear being threatened or physically attacked, as opposed to just 9% of white adults. A cross-cultural discussion will address some of these issues, as Professor Mickey Turner explains.
I think it'll be a very interesting dynamic between the Asian and Black communities because we have both suffered in different ways in this country. There have been lots of incidents where, Black people have attacked Asians. And one of the other reasons is why we wanted to have this particular event is to discuss that as well, because we don't want that to become the primary narrative of this situation. There is strength in numbers, really, that we need to come together against this level of hate.
USC Annenberg professors Mei Lee and Taj Frazier will be panelists at tomorrow's event. To RSVP, visit the USC Annenberg event calendar.
Former USC Songgirls are speaking out after an LA Times report on misconduct and abuse. 2018 graduate Carly Duncan reflected on her time with the team.
I had spoken to a few people at USC and tried to sort of bring up some of these issues when I was here, and it sort of got shoved under the rug. So overall, I think I'm really proud of the girls for sticking through and actually getting it in the LA Times, getting it out there. I don't view Song, or at least, the team, in a negative light. I view the team as a bunch of really wonderful, fun girls that I had some of the best times in college with. I think the disappointing part is that when I think of my time as a Song girl, I think of a lot of mental turmoil. It has had a lot of unfortunate lasting effects. But I also think that this is really important that this has come out, not just for Song and not just for future Songgirls at USC, but I'm just really happy that we live currently in a time where mental health is prioritized, because this is a cycle that is all over the place. And it's really damaging to young girls.
The Songgirls are set to meet tonight for the first time since the article was published. We reached out to USC Recreational Sports and the team for a comment and did not receive a response. Students looking for support can contact studenthealth.usc.edu or the National Eating Disorder Hotline at 800-931-2237.
Ever since the Los Angeles Lakers won the NBA championship, followed by the Dodgers, something special has been going on in Southern California. This continued late last night as the USC men's tennis team won the Pac-12 tournament, going back-to-back. Stefan Dostanic served up a smashing rally to secure the title for the Trojans against Tim Raoul of ASU. Raoul couldn't return the forehand shot as he hit the net before Dostanic celebrated the victory with teammates. But it doesn't end there. Another USC team just went back-to-back as the women's golf team repeated as Pac-12 tournament champions. Senior Amelia Garvey parred 18, clinching the title for her best collegiate finish ever, finishing at -5 208.
And I just needed a few tournaments to get, comfortable again, being under the gun. And I think that's what's happened. And I'm happy with the way things are looking going into regionals and nationals.
Thanks for listening to Sports with Skylar on APVN. Now I'll toss it to Nathan for the final time of the semester.
Thanks, Skylar. I'm Nathan Ackerman with Annenberg Media Sports, reporting one final time from Los Angeles. It's just about tournament time for USC soccer. After their first round bye, the Trojans will be back in action in the second round on Friday against Ole Miss to start their potential run. The Rebels had the better record in the regular season, but the Trojans had the edge in scoring. The matchup might be a defensive battle, with each team allowing an average of 1 goal per game. USC hasn't lost a game in well over a month, in part due to stifling defense. Head coach Keidani McAlpine said last week his team will have to keep that up against the high level of competition for them to be successful. McAlpine also added that the Trojans don't need to look far for some COVID-era tournament tips.
Fortunately, having our basketball team have such a run, we have some people who've had to do it and can give us some ideas and things. So it's going to require a lot of discipline, detail, urgency, commitment, all of the special traits to come out on top.
Friday's second round matchup kicks off at 3 p.m. All right, why don't I bring Skylar back in now to talk some football. Running backs coach Mike Jinks and running back Stephen Carr spoke to the media today about how the running backs and the offensive line are working together this spring.
I can see a huge difference in what the O-line's doing. I have a better understanding of the blocking scheme, so that's helping us out a whole lot more.
From top to bottom, there's been a commitment to the run game, and as a running back coach, that's exciting to see.
Skylar, what do you think?
I'm pretty confident in this group. I really think that they can perform even without Elijah Vera Tucker. You hear Coach Mike Jinks saying that they're so cohesive, they're drinking the same bathwater with this new offensive line coach. So I think they'll be all right.
I'm going to have to disagree with you strong there. Look, this group was so ineffective at points in the fall, especially after losing AVT. I'm going to need to see it to believe it. They're going to say all the same cliches during spring camp practices. Oh, they look so cohesive. They look great. They look so much better. I'm not fully bought in yet. I got to see it to believe it.
Absolutely. Nathan, man, it's been a joy working with you this semester, and I can't wait for big things to come ahead.
It's been a treat working with you too, Skylar. That's going to do it for this semester. Tuesday Sports Team signing off one final time.
You don't have to wait until after graduation to jumpstart your career. Here's how one entrepreneur started his company as a student at USC. Kyle Adomian started his company Tutor Ties last year as a sophomore. Tutor Ties is an app that connects USC students with peer tutors using a swipe-to-match technology. We spoke to Kyle about how his app can help Trojans prepare for finals.
Meeting with someone just to go through the material really can go a long way. Finding someone who's taken the class and has experience with the same exams and the professor, it'll guide you in the right direction on what to study. Save you a couple hours if you need to, because we all have a lot of things going on, whether it's with school, without school.
Kyle isn't planning on stopping at USC. He's working on offering Tutor Ties to universities across the nation, including Duke, Northwestern, and Tulane. He talked to us about his expansion plans and why he thinks college is the perfect time to start a business.
What we're doing there is we're bringing on a managing director at each of those schools to help grow the platform at their university as well. Same model we use, same type of interactions. But if we can just do what we're doing at USC and spread it to, many universities as possible, we can ultimately help more students. So that's the goal. It was a good time for me to do it if I was ever going to do it, rather than, in 5 years, 10 years, whatever it is, when I have a little more responsibility. You're also surrounded by a lot of individuals and students specifically who want to be involved and help and actually enjoy the environment. So there's a lot of student resources for you in terms of people around you who support you. So, you have what you need here in terms of student community. So I definitely recommend going for it.
Cambry, it's so nice to be in person for this last show. It brings a little sense of normalcy to definitely one of the craziest semesters and years we've had. And hopefully next semester we can continue to bring back a little more normal, but it's nice to at least have this.
Yeah, absolutely. Transitioning from starting completely virtually, actually meeting each other over Zoom, to now getting to stand socially distanced, of course, to close out our last show is definitely a good feeling, and hopefully nothing but this will continue in the future and we'll get to be maybe a little bit closer on camera again next semester.
Definitely. And for the final time on Tuesday, that's it for Annenberg TV News. Thank you so much for watching.
And from all of us at Annenberg Media and Team Tuesday, have a good night.